Dancing 6 Feet Apart. Dancers share their stories on surviving COVID-19 by Noor Safia Ernadi. It is no doubt that life at home during the movement control order had its own perks. Some people may have found themselves in the attic, organizing and jettisoning whatever stuff they think was no longer useful. But the advent of MCO was also a preamble of a ripple effect on the Malaysian economy. Dylan Chio, who is the founder of AEVDC Dance Crew and Uncommon Dance Studio, said his income was greatly affected when the pandemic first hit. I own 3 dance studios, and it definitely has affected us as we had no revenue during the 3 months of MCO. Another challenge is the rentals. We still have to pay for it, and the utilities bills, also the salary for our teachers, he said. On July 25th, Taylor's Lakeside Dance Club, TLDC, collaborated with Taylor Speakers Corner to delve deeper on how the pandemic has affected the dance industry in a virtual open mic event titled Dancing 6 Feet Apart. The 2-hour forum was streamed live on Taylor Speakers Corner Facebook page, where 198 viewers have joined to watch the insightful forum. The forum invited Dylan Chio, the founder of AEVDC Dance Crew and Uncommon Dance Studio, Alex from Kingsman Dance Crew, and Sandri Ha, who is prominently known to be part of Nazinda Hood Dance Crew, accompanying Agnes Monica, or famously known as Agnes Mo, before carving his own path. The other 2 speakers also shared the same sentiments when asked by the moderator Daniel Iskandar whether the pandemic has greatly affected their income. Sandri Ha said he is lucky as he still has a job to survive during the pandemic. It definitely has affected me. But thank God, Alhamdulillah, I still have a job which is my private dance tutor class, where I teach my students face to face. But of course, we abide by the rules, like social distancing, wear a mask, and take readings of our body temperature. The class is usually held in my studio, so we don't go outside that is crowded, he added. Meanwhile for Alex, he had the freer schedule during the first 2 months of MCO. It was the worst, as all of my classes were cancelled and I literally had the freer schedule. But I was lucky because despite being a dance instructor, I was also an influencer. Most of my jobs are online, like my live streams, my sponsorships, and those things were still rolling in at that time. But of course, my income in terms of dance-wise, it really affected me, that I could feel it. But despite the struggles, Alex kept a positive mind and claimed to shift most of the things online. I shifted most of the things online, and when I started to do things this way, I slowly began to get an income. The speakers echoed the same reactions when asked to share if they had any confirmed performances that were cancelled due to COVID-19. But regardless of what came, they remained positive. Sandri Ha concurred that most of his events and jobs were cancelled and postponed, but he tried to accept this situation wisely and believes he is not the only one who is affected. Meanwhile for Alex, he stated that this year was an important year for his team. It was an important year as we were invited to go abroad to join K-pop events, but of course, everything was cancelled. We were frustrated because we had prepared for a long time, but we believe that when one door closes, usually a lot of other doors will open. We just stayed positive, and despite being in a lockdown, we got it through together as a team. Dylan also mentioned he had 3 important events but had to switch everything online, which were a K-pop competition held in Sunway Velocity Mall in June, national championship that included 7 states and dance theatre. Except for my dance theatre showcase, I am still trying to figure out ways on what to do. The president of TLDC, Sharon, believed the forum was insightful and understood the perspective and experience from the professional dancers. They also gave us motivational words or tips, and their solutions on facing this hardship and the stories were so inspiring, not only to us dancers but surely for the general audience as well. All in all, we can really look them up as an inspiration, she added via WhatsApp. Taylor's Lakeside Dance Club is under the purview of Student Engagement, Leadership Development, Student Development, Center for Future Learning under the advisory of Ms. Navitra G. Savakuma. For more information, kindly email navitra.savakumar@taylors.edu.my. The Speaker's Corner is under the purview of Student Engagement, Leadership Development (SEAL), Student Development, Center for Future Learning. For bookings, enquiries, or collaborations, please contact Mr. Dorian Wild at dorian.raju@taylors.edu.my. Kashmir Lockdown, Not a Consequence of Corona by Zain ul Abidin. All views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this article belong solely to the writer and do not reflect the position of ETC Magazine or Taylor's University. Tun Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad addressed the ill treatment of the people of Kashmir in an event, Hari Solidarity untuk Kashmir, Solidarity Day for Kashmir, held in Kuala Lumpur earlier this month. I offer no apology for what I had said, though I am sorry that it had affected our palm oil export to India. I don't know if that is a high price to pay for speaking out against such injustices, said the former Prime Minister at the event regarding the mild and to a certain degree restrained statements he made last year at the UN General Assembly about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, J&K, to which India responded by banning the importation of palm oil from Malaysia. Now that I am no more the Prime Minister, I take it that I can now speak without restraint and address the Kashmir issue without threats of boycotts and such, said Dr. Mahathir as he spoke in great detail about a year-long lockdown in J&K, which is said should be described as a siege. You may be asking, what is the conflict in Kashmir? Was the issue worth hurting Malaysia's relations with India? First off, let's dig our favorite history textbooks out to understand the problem better. To say that Kashmir has had a rough history would be an understatement. Circa 1947, when Pakistan and India decided to call it quits, Kashmir was caught in a crossfire. Being a Muslim-majority state, it was expected of them to join Pakistan. However, Kashmir opted to be an independent state. Pakistan tried to invade Kashmir and succeeded in doing so, albeit not the entire region. Upon Kashmir's plea, India swooped in with a deal to salvage their people, but only if they agreed to become part of India. Kashmir then signed the Instrument of Accession, legal document that allowed accession of Jammu and Kashmir to the dominion of India, and was later given a special status of being a semi-autonomous state in the Indian Constitution under Article 370. What was handed was a feeble threat of independence with their wavering flag and constitution, but the absence of foreign affairs, communications, and defense were the real hindrance in administering a peacefully run state. On the 5th of August 2019, Article 370 of Indian Constitution was unilaterally revoked by India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and his currently governing Indian party, Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. They had promised the revocation of Article 370 in their election campaigns and election manifestos, and they delivered. BJP believes stripping J&K of its special status will allow better integration of the state with other Indian states and allow for development of the region, as Indians from other states can now buy land or property there. There was already a conflict over the administration of Kashmir as separatists, as well as the pro-Pakistani Kashmiris protested against the Indian rule for years and demanded azadi, freedom, and or unification with Pakistan. BJP stripping Jammu and Kashmir of its autonomy was certainly adding fuel to fire, and the Indian government knew that and placed a lockdown prior to the revocation to deal with the consequences. Kashmiris have been in lockdown for more than a year now, even before COVID-19 happened. Tourists were asked to leave, and numerous political state leaders were arrested, and many placed under house arrest. It was a lockdown with total unprecedented communications blackout, which was eased to a 2G network after 7 months in a world of 5G. 8,000 troops were deployed on the streets, adding to the 36,000 that were already there. The troops that have blinded hundreds of protesters as well as non-protesters with their lethal pellet guns, a shotgun variant, and caused thousands to be injured with pellets embedded in their skulls and other parts of their bodies. The troops that arrested and detained any Kashmiri whenever they wish to do so are in lieu with the Public Safety Act, PSA, which allows security officials to detain citizens at will. A 2011 Amnesty International report estimated 8,000 to 20,000 Kashmiris were detained under PSA from 1990 to 2010. 8,000 or more Kashmiris are missing as reported by the International Commission of Missing Persons as a result of political violence. The troops allegedly barged into homes and raped wives and daughters of the same men they dragged to torture centers. Women have died bleeding due to horrid acts of these monsters, as the Kashmiris have spoken about in a 7-minute short film, Ocean of Tears by Kunan Poshpora, which speaks about a mass rape in Kashmir. State-funded Indian troops are violating several human rights while being under the power of Narendra Modi and BJP. It is no surprise that these troops are not held accountable for their actions in the only Muslim-majority state of India, considering how the governing party has hurt millions of Indian Muslims throughout the years with their statements and actions. For example, the Indian government passed the citizenship law in December of 2019, which provided citizenship for illegal immigrants from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh, only if they belong to a religious minority of the country they flee. This law undermines secularism and equality, both of which are the basis of Indian constitution, as it only excludes Muslims. Prior to the passing of the amendment, in October of 2019, the Home Minister Amit Shah had said, "I want to assure all Hindu, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist and Christian refugees that you would not be forced to leave India," while very conveniently excluding Muslims, just like the citizenship law did. Many Indians, Muslims and non-Muslims rightfully protested after the passing of the citizenship law amendment, which is fundamentally discriminatory in nature, according to the UN. A top leader of BJP, Yogi Adityanath, warned that the protesters who chanted Azadi, like the Kashmiris did, will be committing an act of treason, and the government will take very strict action. Yogi Adityanath is also the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, home to approximately 44 million Muslims, statistics as of 2018, and has made statements such as, "Hindus and Muslims cannot coexist," and "If they, Muslims, take one Hindu girl, we will snatch at least 100 Muslim girls from them." Another exhibition of BJP's anti-Muslim ideology came from one of the BJP's top leaders, Subramanian Swamy, who said, "Where the Muslim population is large, there is always trouble, because Islamic ideology says so," in a recent interview which you can watch here. This 22nd of August, the world observes the second International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. On this day, we pay our respects to the innocent people who were put through unspeakable tortures just because they voiced out their opinions or they chose to hold a different belief and religion. Most importantly, we must pay attention to the people facing such brutality right now, before they become another unfortunate number on the death toll. We must raise our voices for the Uyghurs, the Rohingya Muslims, the Kashmiris, the Indian Muslims, the Syrians, the Palestinians, and all other communities being violated on this planet, no matter the magnitude of the violation based on their religion or beliefs. Please sign the following petition started by www.kashmirhumanrights.com to help the cause. Petition for the Kashmir Referendum for Freedom. Petition to investigate India for human rights violation in Kashmir. You can also donate money after signing the above-mentioned petitions at change.org or Kashmir Relief Fund by Helping Hand USA at https://hhrd.org/new/Kashmir or any other preferred trusted organizations. How to Survive College as a Broke Student by Jane Law. If you think college life consists of fancy brewed coffee, wearing cool, casual clothes, having library dates and doing aesthetic Tumblr study notes, well, you may want to hold your breath for a second before reading this. Let's face it, every college student knows there's more to those #college goals. Tons of assignments, burning an awful lot of midnight candles, catching up deadlines, and of course, making sure you don't go bankrupt by the end of the month. No matter how much people like to say, money doesn't mean everything, college students know very well that money means at least 80% of the things we do. But don't start having a panic attack on us just yet. College life may seem hard, especially when you are a student who probably only has 5 ringgit a day to spare, but you still can have an enjoyable life just like anyone else. You just need to learn how to save and spend wisely. Without further ado, here are 5 ways to survive college as a penniless student. Number 1. Meal prep. Google every article you can, and meal prepping will always be at the top of the list because it is true. Cooking and preparing your meals can save a hefty amount of your savings. It might take up a lot of work with all the chopping, frying, and cleaning, but it is worth the while to save a huge chunk of your budget. So, delete those takeaway apps and try out these incredible simple recipes. You can even get your creative juices flowing by adding your own twists and turns to it. Bonus: besides saving money, constant cooking can sharpen your culinary skills that who knows might come in handy in the future when you're trying to win a man's or woman's heart. Wink wink. Number 2. Public transport. The advantages of traveling on public transport really outweighs its downsides, such as avoiding ghastly traffic jams, which can last for hours, especially in the evenings. Mass transits are also a great way in reducing transportation costs. In a city that's easy to navigate due to being able to go to places with just the tip of your fingertips and a touch-and-go card, you are not only doing yourself a favor but also to the environment. Learn how to commute with this comprehensive guide that will help you get around Kuala Lumpur with just public transports. Number 3. Get a part-time job. All play and no work makes Jack a broke boy. Never heard of that? Well, now you have. Money comes from hard work. That is a difficult to swallow fact, but nothing is more rewarding to see your hard work pay off in cash. Besides, you also get to earn some experience, which might be a fancy touch-up for your resume in the future. If you are interested in helping out at Taylor's University's Campus Central and Student Welfare, you can apply to be a student assistant. They pay RM5 per hour and working hours are super flexible. You can even sign yourself up to be a student ambassador that helps the university during events like Open Day. Just keep a lookout at their hiring notice on the students portal. Number 4. Take advantage of discounts. Sometimes we may think discounts do not help much, but if you count them one by one, they actually add up a lot. Keep an eye out on promo codes online or sales, because sometimes they do come in handy. Don't be afraid to ask if there is any student discount at retail stores. In fact, there are a plethora of benefits you can feed off from being a student, such as catching the latest blockbusters at TGV cinemas with only RM10, singing to your heart's content with just RM11 at karaokes, showing your student pride in style by getting 15% off at Cotton On, or even eating till you drop at Kenny Rogers with its 25% discount off. Number 5. Make and stick to a budget. Last but not least, the most pivotal, sticking to your own budget. This is a consequential step in making sure you are able to get out of college without being on your own beam's end. Money may go out from your pockets with the snap of your fingers, but it certainly does not come in as easy and fast. Therefore, budgeting is crucial to make sure you do not dig your own financial grave. There are tons of ways for you to plan your own money. You can use the reliable, old-fashioned envelope system, Jot your outlay on a notebook or even record them down on apps like Hey Alfred and Money Manager to track your financial assets. To learn more about budgeting, here is a full-on guide that might help you get right into them. That is all from us. ETC Magazine would like to give a warm welcome back to all the returning students as well as the freshmen in Taylor's University. We hope your time and journey at Taylor's this year will be fun, as well as a fulfilling one, and that with these tips above, you might be able to dance your way out of here as a happy, not-so-broke student. Black Lives Matter. Taylor's African students speak up about racism and discrimination faced in Malaysia, by Tay Yi Shen. I have a lot of problems, mostly with the police. When it comes to the police, it's not brutality or anything, but it's just that they will stop you and make you act as if you did something. Shared Maxime Hakizimana, who has been in Malaysia for 5 years. Taylor's African Society collaborated with Taylor's Speakers Corner on its 7th open mic event titled I Can't Breathe on June 12th. This open mic event was held in conjunction with the current worldwide movement against anti-blackness centered around the Black Lives Matter movement, which is an international human rights movement that originated from the African American community campaigning against violence and systemic racism towards Black people. This open mic served as a platform to bring awareness to the experiences of systemic and casual racism and discrimination faced by Black people in Malaysia, particularly that of African Taylorians who made out most of the speakers at the open mic. There was also a good discussion between the speakers, hosts, and audience members on this topic. The murder of George Floyd, as well as the viral video of the police killing him and being so cool and calm about it, has sparked rage in a lot of people, myself included. I felt that it would be a great time to talk not just about what's happening in the US, but also what's happening here. The culture of racism in Malaysia that is often not discussed, said Dorian Wild, organizer of the event and person in charge of Taylor's Speakers Corner. The open mic was streamed live on Taylor Speakers Corner's Facebook page and has received 757 views to date. Black speakers were given priority to speak, and they spoke about their concerns over the racism they experience in Malaysia, which includes the countless encounters with the police, not being allowed to open bank accounts, and openly racist policies banning African tenants in many apartments and condos. They also shared how their ethnicity and skin color affected their chances in landing a job and making friends. It's like being a criminal without actually committing a crime, described Chikondi Muloshi, co-host of the event and active member of Taylor's African Society. The speakers also shared disturbing accounts of racism they experienced from other Taylorians, including being called derogatory terms and being ostracized in classes and activities, often being isolated by their course mates and chosen last to be in group projects. One medical student, Susan M. Chenga, shared her experience about being assigned in groups to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, on a training mannequin, and how everyone in her group asked to go before her despite being the first assigned to the mannequin. Until I became the last person. That's when it occurred to me that they were being racist. And then I heard one of the guys say, I can't do the resuscitation after her, she's African. I looked at the other groups and none of them changed turns, because I was the only Black person there, concluded Susan. Audience members who attended the session via Zoom showed their immense support for the speakers as they listened and empathized with the speakers. I think something that everybody should be doing is probably educating yourself and trying to evaluate where you stand in your degree of the spectrum of privileges that you're born with, and then seeing what you can do with your privilege to make a change, said Shiva Kamini Punaya, a participant of the event. When asked to convey a message to Black people from other countries, Florence Munalula, co-host of the event and president of Taylor's African Society, answered, "Just be positive and don't be hesitant to speak out. If someone has said something hurtful to you, Let them know. Chico also shared, if you do experience it, react calmly. Sometimes, when you're in a situation where you can't react, be strong. You need to set a shield upon every other person that says anything negative to you and know your worth. A lot of times we feel offended because we don't know our worth. Once you know your worth, you won't let anything offend you that easily, and you're able to help other people. The stories shared during the event have truly exposed viewers to the intensity of racism faced by Black people in Malaysia and within the Taylor's community, and inspired attendees and viewers to be brave and stand up for themselves and others when faced with discrimination. This event was a crucial first step in highlighting and understanding racism within Taylor's, and hopefully leads to the first steps in addressing these inequalities. Paper Bag Day. Are paper bags really better than plastic bags? By Haley Tan. Did you know the first paper bag was invented by Francis Wall? Francis Wall was an inventor, psychologist, and also an American priest of the Moravian Church. He was credited for his patent of the first paper bag machine in 1852. Wall and his brother even went on to start their very own company in 1869 and named it the Union Paper Bag Machine Company. However, many would consider Margaret E. Knight the mother of the grocery bag as she designed the square, flat-bottom bag and the machine that would fold and paste them in 1870. To this day, this design is still the much preferred paper bag design. The paper bag is a significant invention which serves a multitude of purposes. Thus, Paper Bag Day is celebrated every July 12th. So, why is the paper bag so significant? The paper bag is said to be renewable, easily recyclable and biodegradable due to the fact that it is made of paper. Hence, it is supposed to be the better alternative to plastic bags. Moreover, the paper bag is multifunctional as it can be used for carrying groceries, arts and crafts, and even aid in hyperventilation. This is because breathing into a paper bag can help people experiencing hyperventilation to regulate their oxygen and carbon dioxide levels. In addition to that, it is also inexpensive and accessible as it can be bought for a low price at any grocery store. Besides that, the paper bag does not pose any harm to our health, as long as it is not treated with chemicals or dyed a certain color. However, are paper bags actually recyclable? The answer is yes, if it is made of paper only and does not have a plastic lining or coating. Typically, paper bags from stores that are colored and glossy not only have a plastic coat on the outside, but also on the inside to protect the contents of the bag, thus rendering it unrecyclable. However, most paper bags for food and grocery that usually look like plain brown bags can be recycled. This is only if the paper bag is not contaminated with remnants of food. Otherwise, it will just be thrown away as removing the contaminants utilizes a lot of energy. Besides that, the lack of recycling facilities in Malaysia means that a lot of paper items do not get recycled and end up in landfills. One of the major reasons for the lack of investment in local recycling facilities is that recycling consumes too much energy in the form of fuel and machinery. Besides that, it is also time-consuming since it involves a long process and is overall inefficient. With that in mind, are paper bags better than plastic bags? Although paper bags are biodegradable, landfills do not provide ideal conditions for biodegradation as there is a lack of oxygen and light, which means that barely anything will get decomposed for a long time. It is estimated that paper bags create 70% more air pollution and 80% more toxic greenhouse gases than plastic bags. Additionally, deforestation activities carried out to harvest wood for paper decreases atmospheric carbon absorption. The process of making paper is also time-consuming, as a tree large enough to harvest from takes years to grow. Moreover, it is energy-consuming as it is labor-intensive and very costly as well. Did you know, it takes 91% less energy to recycle a plastic bag? I sat down with Chua Lian Sim, a sales executive and mother of three who has been recycling for the past 10 years, to understand her thoughts on recycling and its importance. According to Chua, she has been recycling all these years because she felt that it was necessary to contribute to a more sustainable lifestyle. Every day, we create more rubbish, so we need to take responsibility in ensuring that recyclable items do not become rubbish, said Chua. I also had the opportunity to talk to Shingo Wong, a university student who does not recycle regularly, to understand his thoughts on recycling and its importance. To Wong, recycling is an inconvenience as there are no recycling facilities near him. This makes it a hassle as he has to go out of his way to recycle things. To wrap things up, the paper bag is a great invention that serves a multitude of purposes and has various pros and cons. However, after deeper inspection, it is inefficient and causes more harm than good in the long run. The production of paper bags also contributes to deforestation and decreases carbon absorption. With that in mind, some may even argue that plastic bags are in fact better than paper bags. Despite plastic bags being less toxic compared to paper bags, plastic takes at least 500 years to biodegrade and causes a multitude of environment-related issues. For instance, 8.3 million tons of plastics end up in the ocean each year, which greatly affects ocean wildlife as they often mistake microplastics for food. In conclusion, both the paper bag and plastic bag are harmful to the environment and should be avoided.